How do these guys get it so wrong? Professional people working in this field for not 5 years, not 10 years, sometimes 20, 30 years, sometimes even 40 years. You look at some commentators and TV personalities on ESPN and things like that. They're talking about their teams. I mean, I'm specifically going to reference Nick Wright here, talking about the Lakers. How could you not understand and not learn not to involve your emotions into it? I mean, it might have something to do with if you're much more positive than you're supposed to be about, especially the Lakers, who are a team that people search online a lot for. And if you're positive about them, you're going to get a lot of people viewing these videos and stuff like that. And I understand that. But knowing Nick Wright is a Laker fan, or maybe a LeBron James fan, and he seems to be on the Lakers, then that's a different story. So let me just, I'm going to show you a couple videos. One about a month before the playoffs started of Nick Wright talking about the Lakers, and Nick Wright talking about the Lakers now. And just, I want to go over like how could you not understand and be able to look at your team and analyze what it's capable of doing. But first, before I show you those videos, welcome. My name is Paul, and this is the basketball show where I talk today's NBA, current events, news, players, and more. All completely unbiased, even though some people disagree, because any opposing opinion to weak people is always hating. Truth is truth, and I try to stand by that. Okay, so here is one of the videos of Nick Wright talking about the Los Angeles Lakers and how good they are after they beat my New York Knicks 113 to, I believe, 109. And they've won a couple teams. Yeah, they beat the Nuggets, I think, one game. Pelicans, Portland Trailblazers, who sucked this season. And other teams, Charlotte, I believe, or whatever. But they had like 8 really good games with Luka and LeBron James. And he was ecstatic about the team. And then he was saying how good they might do in the playoffs, as per in his opinion. So I'll let you listen to that, and I'll respond to that in a second.
And Lakers 113, Knicks 109, as the Lakers right now flatly look like not a contender, but the contender. I understand that Charles Barkley tried to minimize, and we'll get more on Chuck in a bit, what the Lakers have done to a good 2 weeks. It's getting close to a good 2 months. And I'm not some lifelong Laker fan. People can criticize me for this, but I've always been transparent about it. I'm the same high school class as LeBron. High school basketball team, my senior year, we would all get together at my house and watch St. Vincent St. Mary's play, because we thought it was, whenever they were on ESPN, because we thought it was so cool that guys our age were on ESPN playing. We even tried to like maybe we can run some of the plays they're running. Turns out having the 17-year-old future GOAT allowed them to run some offense we couldn't run for small Midwestern private school I went to. Neither here nor there. The reason I bring that up is Kansas City didn't have a basketball team.
Okay, so that month ago, about 2 to 3 weeks before the NBA playoffs started, and Luka Doncic was already on the Lakers. They had a couple of games that they've won. Even knowing what other teams have, how they perform, the Boston Celtics and the Denver Nuggets and Cleveland Cavaliers and, all these other teams that have rosters that are kind of more balanced, he looked at those Lakers and he said to us, they're not a contender. They look like they are the contender. So to him, they looked like the best team in the NBA at that time. And this is what he had said right before the series between the Lakers and the Minnesota Timberwolves started.
The only chance the Timberwolves have is if Julius Randle, for the first time in his career, plays well in the playoffs. He's got to be good for them to have a chance. And by the way, going to be tough because he's going to be on the other end. He's going to be guarding LeBron James a lot.
Yeah.
So he is the absolute key. I know there have been some thoughts that Ant is going to try to guard LeBron or Luka. That's a terrible idea. Ant's a very good defender, but he is simply too small for either one of those guys.
Okay, so here he said that Julius Randle is going to be a huge part of this, and if he has a good series, that's the only possible way that the Minnesota Timberwolves even have a chance of winning this series. Now, don't get me wrong, he got that kind of right because Julius Randle's been doing okay. And he said that the big minus for Julius Randle is that he's going to have to defend LeBron James. Well, he's been doing okay defending LeBron James as it goes, because LeBron James is not averaging 30 here. He's not averaging, whatever. I mean, he's not going for crazy points. His field goal percentage is okay, but Julius has been very physical with him when he's defending him. And it hasn't made the game easy for LeBron. I think LeBron is being worn down a little bit by the end of each game, and it's tough for him to finish games. And we saw that in game 4 because what he did one after another, 3 things: a turnover, he gave up on the last shot, he passed it off with Anthony Edwards on him, who's 5 inches shorter, and then fouling Anthony Edwards on the opposite end and getting those free throws. I think LeBron was just exhausted. I mean, the starting 5 for the Lakers played a full second half, not one substitution by JJ Redick, which was kind of insane to me. They have some good players that could have given a couple minutes to each of those starters, but whatever, that's JJ Redick for you. And Anthony Edwards, he mentioned that it's almost impossible for Anthony Edwards to even try to defend LeBron James or Luka Doncic. And we've seen Anthony Edwards be very, very physical with LeBron James, and LeBron James doesn't like it. And Anthony Edwards is 6'4". He is shorter than Michael Jordan, and he weighs about the same at 225. Now, this whole narrative that Mike would not be able to stop LeBron or go against LeBron or all that other stuff, which is complete BS looking just at this matchup, because Anthony Edwards is not as strong as Mike was. And you heard Ron Artest in previous interviews and stuff like that say that LeBron James is crazy strong, but he literally mentioned that Michael Jordan, even though he was smaller, he was pretty much right a tiny hair below, right there. So he's probably stronger than Anthony Edwards. And Anthony Edwards is giving LeBron James have some problems physically. And he's 6'4", 225. I mean, LeBron was frustrated by Anthony Edwards in game 4. We all saw those replays of that. So that's what's happening. And, that's what Nick Wright was saying before the series started. So now this is what Nick Wright is saying after game 4.
What was a remarkable and unbelievable weekend of NBA basketball, and also the weekend that almost assuredly marked the end of the Los Angeles Lakers season. And that's not even because I think necessarily they are drawing dead to execute a 3-1 comeback. They're obviously drawing very slim, but I don't think they are at 0%. However, the present they will get if they somehow do execute a 3-1 comeback with a rotation that clearly only has 5 players the head coach trusts is either going to be the Golden State Warriors or the Houston Rockets, both of which present massive problems for this team in this moment. And if you were like me and you really thought this team's high end was not just conference finals caliber, not just NBA finals caliber, but championship caliber, this weekend was a hard punch in the face about that.
All right, so you see this, Nick Wright wrote on X, this Lakers team sure is going to be hard to beat 4 times in 7 games. The Celtics might be able to do it. Not sure anyone else can. And this was April 9th. April 10th, I replied, hey, Nick, personally, I think the Lakers are just overblown. Celtics can beat them. Warriors can beat them. OKC can beat them. Damn, some chaos gets teams motivated sometimes, maybe even Nuggets. So a lot of different teams I mentioned. I had a guy reply to me, change your name, please, from the basketball show. The takes scream, I don't know ball. So the guy accused me of not knowing basketball. All right, so right now, today, I replied to him. You still don't agree? Look like I know ball better than you. Now, after looking at that tweet or X post or whatever, I keep getting confused with that stuff. But after looking at that, I come to one conclusion. I've seen Stephen A. Smith do this, and Stephen A. Smith has done this. He's a huge Knicks fan, and he's done this because he is too emotional on some of his takes. He wants the Knicks to win. Sometimes he kind of overblows them. They can do this, they can do that, or whatever. And he just, too much emotion, and the logical thinking just is not where it's supposed to be. And the takes and the whole analysis of the team is not good. It's not logical. Nick Wright, same thing. He's not a Laker fan per se. He's a LeBron James fan, and he admitted that on the video. Not on this video, but there's a take. Maybe I'll talk about that another time. He literally said, wherever LeBron James goes, I'm the fan of that team. But that doesn't matter. That's not the point right now. But he goes by emotion as well. And the second thing, looking at Stephen A. Smith and looking at Nick Wright, these guys talk basketball. But what is their basketball background to be able to look at a basketball team, analyze it logically, and kind of figure out what they have, what they don't have, what other teams have and what they don't have, and kind of make a good analysis and don't get emotionally carried away. Now, I have basketball background by myself. I played ball over 20 years. High school, always started. I played college basketball, always started. Semi-pro basketball, always started. Played multiple tournaments in the city. I've played against draftees to the NBA. One of those guys was what was his name? He was drafted to the Indiana Pacers, AJ Price. He played for the Pacers for a few years. Really good player. Played against him in multiple tournaments on Long Island and New York, in leagues there. So I've played over 20 years. I've watched many years of the Knicks. I've always been a Knicks fan. It didn't matter what players they had. I've just been a Knicks fan. I don't follow a player. I'm a team guy, okay? And because of my background and actually being a decent player, I think I don't know. I'm doing better analysis than these guys like Stephen A. and Nick Wright. Just looking at that, especially in this situation. I'm not saying every time, but that's what it looks like to me. I don't get carried away by emotion. I look at my New York Knicks. I knew they would struggle against the Detroit Pistons. The Detroit Pistons finished 6th in the season. But I'm looking at the style of play. Both teams are, you could say, hard-nosed, tough defense, physical, and that's what it is. The Knicks had a tough time to win the 3 games that they've won, and they're lucky to win those 3 games because that series could have gone either way. I know I love my Knicks. They're playing great basketball right now. I could easily get carried away right now and say, listen, they're playing so good, they could get to the Eastern Conference Finals, maybe even the NBA Finals. And who knows what happens there. I'm not going to say that. Because when they advance to round 2 and they meet the Boston Celtics, they're not beating the Celtics. There's no way that the Knicks are going to beat the Celtics, no matter how good they play, how good Jalen Brunson has been so far, how good, Karl Anthony Towns has been so far. It doesn't matter. Looking at their squad, looking at their offensive limitations, I love Josh Hart. I love, OG Anunoby and all that other stuff. The Knicks don't have enough offensive fluidity and firepower to beat the Boston Celtics, period. Celtics with Jaylen Brown, Tatum, Porzingis, and the other shooters, crazy shooters that they got on there, Knicks don't have a chance. Maybe we could get one game. If we're lucky, we'll get two. But it's not going to be any more than that. The Knicks are out in the second round if they go to it and defeat the Detroit Pistons. So I don't get carried away. I look at it logically. For some reason, these guys, I don't know what it has to do with. Maybe the lack of experience playing by themselves. Maybe just it's hard for them to kind of figure out what teams have, what they don't have. They're entertaining. They're entertaining. And they talk about things like that, you know, a lot of screaming, a lot of controversial takes and looks and all that other stuff, but a lot of times it just doesn't pan out. How could they get these things so wrong? I think that's the main reason. You have to have some kind of a player background to be able to logically look at the game, look at what each team has, and kind of figure out what they're capable of doing, how far they're capable of getting. That's just kind of my look at it. And that's pretty much it. Just wanted to kind of point that out because I've seen it from Nick Wright. Emotional takes, a lot of mistakes. I've seen it from Stephen A. Smith. Emotional takes, a lot of mistakes. And it's just, it keeps happening. So I don't really look at what they keep saying. A lot of the stuff I judge on my own. And I've been pretty good at it. I'll tell you that much. So I'm glad you guys watched this video. I could kind of go over all of this stuff with you. And I hope you like it, share it, do whatever. And I'll see you in the next video. Thank you. Bye.